Alright, for those students who aren't here today but they want to know what we did, we're going to learn how to multiply and divide using powers. The first thing you're going to write down, this is called the product property. Now the product property states that if you have the same base number and you're multiplying those together, and these are the same, you're allowed to take the exponents and simply add them together. So here's a quick little example. If I said 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 4, 2 to the power of 3 means 2 times 2 times 2, 2 cubed. 2 to the power of 4 means you're multiplying that 2 to itself 4 times. How many times do you multiply them together? You multiply them together a total of 7 times. That's why you're allowed to take these exponents and simply add them together. So that's called the product property. So right here, here's our problem. We've got x to the power of 2 times x to the power of negative 12. All we got to do is just take the 2, add the negative 12. That gets you x to the power of negative 10. Now, right now, they're not worried about this being a negative exponent. I do want you to understand that x to the power of negative 10 is the same as 1 over x to the power of 10. If you ever want to make a negative exponent positive, just shift it down underneath this fraction bar. But if it's underneath, then you can shift it up. So quick little example of what you are allowed to do. If you don't like the way that looks because you don't like negatives, all you got to do is take this one, shift it up, take this one and shift it down. All right, and then you could simplify it. This is the quotient property. We'll talk about it. That's when you get to subtract the exponents. Right now, I'm just going to put x to the power of negative 10 and move on to the next question. All right, so right here, I'm going to type in, I think it says z. Does that say z or x up there? Does that say x or z? It's x? It is z? Okay, z. It is x? X to the power of negative 10. There we go. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Super easy. All we got to do is take 6 to the power of negative 6 over 6 to the power of negative 5. Now this is called the quotient property. And the quotient property, you're allowed to subtract your exponents. So if I have a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n, you're allowed to take those exponents and simply subtract them. Okay? So what would be like a way to explain this? Watch this. If I have x to the power of 5 over x to the power of 3, what does x to the power of 5 actually mean? X being multiplied to itself 5 times. And what does x cubed actually mean? X times x times x. Well, these cancel out to ones, and what are we left with? An x squared. That's why you're allowed to take these and simply cancel them out. So we have x squared. So what am I going to do that with this one? This one, it says 6 to the power of negative 6. But what do I have to do? I have to take away a negative 5. So I'm not just taking away a 5, I'm taking away a negative 5. So what happens when you got a negative times a negative? That's a positive. So that's 6 to the power of negative 6 plus 5. So it's 6 to the negative 1. And that's what my answer is going to be right here. 6 to the power of negative 1. Now that's the same as saying 1 over 6, just so you know. 6 to the power of negative 1 is the same as 1 over 6. So 6 to the power negative 1, and there I am. Okay, do a couple more just so you see how it works. This is not going to be that difficult. This says x to the power of 6 over x to the power of 8. All I have to do is take those exponents and simply subtract them. You just subtract what you see, 6 minus 8. Well, wait a second, 6 minus 8 is negative 2. So that's going to be what I'm going to type in. I just want you to be aware of x to the power of negative 2 is equivalent to 1 over x squared. But I'm going to type in x to the power of negative 2 because that's the form that they want me to use. They want me to use form of x to the power of n. So they just want me to write it just like that. All right, so x to the power of negative 2. All right, last one dealing with the product property. So this is the product property because they're being multiplied. So when you guys see this right here, you just add the exponents together. So if you see 4 to the power of 6 times 4 to the power of negative 8, all you got to do is take the 6 and add the negative 8. So you get 4. 6 plus a negative 8 is negative 2. I'm done. Now, 4 to the power of negative 2 is the same as 1 over 4 squared, which actually equals 1 over 16. But I'm not going to type in 1 over 16. I'm going to type in 4 to the power of negative 2 because that's the form that they want. It's always helpful to type it in the form that they want, then you get the answer right. If you don't type it in the form that they want, then you get the answer wrong. And, you know, who likes getting things wrong? Not me. All right. I'll just do one more quickly in my head. Is where you subtract them. Negative 3 minus 12 is negative 15. That's just 9 to the power of negative 15. All I had to do was do negative 3 minus 12 more. I hope that's a negative 3, and I hope that's a 12. That's what I see it from way back here, but hopefully I didn't screw up. We'll see. All right, good. So you subtract the exponents and you're done. But now let's go over to a more difficult one dealing with a power property. So we'll do a couple more in the power property and call this video done. So right here we have the power property, and the power property states that if you have a to the power of n raised to the power of n, you're allowed to take those and multiply them together. So that's what I'm going to do right here. It's going to be super easy. B to the power of 7 over 4 to the power of 5, and that's being raised to the power of negative 3. So let's focus in on the powers here. Got a negative 3, I got a 7, I got a 5. All I got to do is just multiply them together. So what is 7 times negative 3? Well, that's easy. That's just negative 21. And what's negative 3 times 5? Negative 15. But this is where they want all the exponents to be positive. So this is where I talked about a little shortcut. Remember I said if you had like x to the power of negative 2 and I had x to the power of negative 4 and I wanted to make it look a little bit nice and neater, all you got to do is what? Take these, move them down, take these, move them up, and that helps you make the exponents positive. So what could I do to make this positive? Just shift it down below. What can I do to make that positive? Shift it up. And you're done. And that's my answer, which is right there. Super easy. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, this looks so complicated, but it's not. All you got to do is just multiply the powers. But I didn't learn multiplication. We'll use a dadgum calculator. All right, there's your power. There's your other power. There's your last power. What are we doing to these babies? Multiply, multiply. So we got 6 to the power of 36 times 8 to the power of 63. Are those negative exponents? No, so we just keep them exactly where they are. That's why this is the answer. See? Super easy. It's not complicated. So don't make it complicated. We'll do a couple more. It's called the power property. If I'm writing too fast, just pause me. But I can't pause you in class. Sure you can. Just raise your hand. Okay, nobody's raising their hand, so I'm not pausing myself. Power to a power. Power to a power. What does that mean? Power to a power means we do what? We multiply. So this is a to the power of negative 9 times negative 7, which is 63. We got negative 9 times negative 2, which is 18. Are those negative? No. So that's the answer. All right, man. This is like easy hundreds. Let's do one more. We've got 4 cubed over 5 to the power of negative 2. raised to the power of 5. What's my power? 5. What's this power? 3. What's that power? -2. Just multiply. So we get 4 to the power of 15 over 5 to the power of -10, because 5 times 2 is -10. Now, which one stays the same? Which one are we not moving? 4 to the power of 15. Which one are we moving? Yeah, we're going to move it up to make it a positive. So our answer's 4 to the power of 15 times 5 to the power of 10. And there it is, right there. What's the only time we ever move an exponent? Whenever it's negative, we just move it up or down to make it positive, and that's it. Okay. We'll do the challenge with everybody later, okay? We'll just do the challenge later. So those are 3 properties. Oh, one thing. All right, I have a student who has a challenge problem here. All right, it's on the quiz here. What does it say? 4 to the what? -2 times 4 to the power of what? Oh, 7 to the power of -2? Sorry. 7 to the power of -2. Oh, okay, sorry. 4 to the power of -2 times 7 to the power of -2. Okay? Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what that means. Now, 4 to the power of -2 means 1 over 4 squared. 7 to the power of -2 means 1 over 7 squared. Okay? So, that's one of your possible answer choices. Okay? So, let's see here. I'm looking at your symbol. One second. All right, so check this out. 4 times 4 times 7 times 7 means this right here. Okay? Would you agree 4 times 7 is 28, and 4 times 7 is 28. So that's actually like saying 1 over 28 squared. So this becomes this, which could become that. All right? All right, and let's go ahead and go to our final problem right here. This says z to the power of 4 over z squared raised to the power of -3. Power to a power, that's z to the power of -12 over 6 to the power of -6. But if I want to make a negative exponent positive, just shift it down or shift it up. And that's all you got to do. All right, so 6 to the power of 6 over z to the power of 12. C is my answer. And that's how easy it can be. Y'all have a good day.